Hi, I'm Julia of Honesty Europe, and I'm going to talk about love and sex addiction today. Um, for the reason that I got quite often questions around this, like where is the boundary of healthy behavior towards a partner or possible partner or somebody who we're attracted to when like this feeling all these exciting sensations in the body becomes like a lot more than just feeling attracted or being in love with our partner, but when it becomes obsessive and when it's not anymore supporting our well-being. There is the part of codependency, and I'm going to touch that separately in a different video because I think there's a lot to cover. About sex and love addiction, there is a group called Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. So a 12-step group like AA, founded I think 80s, 90s. There is a book, I actually have it here in my shelf, the main book of Sex and Love Addicts. And why this is personal to me as well, about 6 years ago I went to some meetings of Sex and Love Addicts as I judged that my behavior of in my earlier relationship towards my partner was kind of compulsive and addictive nature, and I wanted to look at it. And what I discovered in the meetings was that it was quite a difference. I went to women's only meetings, and there it was a lot around compulsion towards either a partner or many times somebody who was actually just out there and a person was like attracted and infatuated by them and couldn't stop thinking, and it was kind of overwhelming and taking a lot of time and space in the person's life just thinking or like compulsively trying to find a new person to be in love with. And in the mixed group of men and women, the sex addiction was far more present, and in that very small sample size, the sex addiction seemed to be more the male issue and the love addiction issue for females. And of course, this is not at all black and white. And I also met several female sex addicts. And how does this show up? So I'm going to read something. How Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous call this is any sexual or emotional behavior, no matter its initial impulse, which leads to loss of control around either the actual activity or the duration of the activity, frequency or rate, and so on, and it resulting to destruction or negative impacts, okay, this is my words, to either mental, physical, psychological, or emotional, moral well-being of the person. So it's a very broad range. So this is not only like going, like sex addiction is not only going and having sex with a lot of sex workers or ongoingly masturbating compulsively, say 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times a day. It can be also around compulsively watching porn. One person was addicted to watching like romance TV series, like many hours a day, and like keeping the thoughts around it, when I can watch it, when I can watch it, when I can watch it, that kind of stuff. So there is many varieties, and it doesn't even need to be like you act on the impulse, but if that's kind of ongoingly in your system, and yeah, I think hampering your well-being one way or the other, or the well-being of your partner, if you're in a relationship and your compulsion is more with the partner. And what kind of behaviors could be around love and sex addiction? Beside the kind of sexual activities, it could be also, I'm checking my notes, compulsive porn usage I mentioned, a lot of sex with strangers, feeling not good afterwards, infidelity, so agreeing to monogamous relationship and not keeping it, kind of doing stuff in secrecy. And then this love addiction, one could be like compulsive attraction to either unavailable people, so maybe it's your colleague who is married or in a relationship, or it can also be like compulsive jealousy towards your own partner, fully wanting to fill all your wishes by the other person, for example. It can also be avoidant behavior, so like sexual anorexia. That's another situation, so I'm not going to talk about that right now, but that is around the love and sex addiction part. So how love addiction is, one definition is pathological passion-related behavior, including falling in love and being in love. So pathological and passion-related behavior. So that's the word there. There's also another wording around this, which is obsessive love disorder. That there is some material online about this. So I think it's the same thing, but people use different terminology. And a few things how this has been approached in the past. For example, Freud talks about conscious feeling of hate, and then we overcompensate it, like being compulsively over the top with somebody else, but underneath there is hate, and somehow having a narcissistic need. And maybe preoccupation to avoid depression or worry. So kind of having, and it could be avoiding anything else. So a kind of avoidant behavior. Rather than me addressing my issues, I'm just focusing on being in love or infatuated by somebody. And then the Jungians say that it's this obsessive behavior around love and other people is like my inner self projected in the other. So I'm kind of imagining seeing myself in the other. And why this is not very good for us, for example, in a relationship. Of course, we don't really see the other person for who they are, or even if we are not in a relationship with them, it's our colleague, for example, or a partner of a friend or a friend. So we are projecting a lot on them and not really just being present and seeing them and kind of relaxing into the being. Of course, there can be like obsessive jealousy that is hampering the well-being of both people, leading to lack of trust and lack of freedom, which is kind of a big deal. And many times this kind of love addiction comes from anxious or preoccupied attachment style from the childhood. So I'm talking a lot, and I imagine I'll do another video of this topic, as there is a lot to say, because of course then it's like, okay, now what? I recognize some compulsive behaviors in myself, obsessive behaviors. What do I do? I think first step, recognizing it. Second step, kind of being aware ongoingly. Third step, sharing and finding support, whatever that might mean. It could be the 12-step group, love, sex and love addicts I mentioned. It could be a trusted friend who has the space to just be there for you. Also dealing with it if you're in a relationship and this is related to your partner, then getting professional help, a therapist or other group therapy as well could be an option, depending on your situation. But really ongoing awareness, owning it, and starting to not make it a secret, not it to be in the shadows and pushing it away, but rather bring it in the front and center and looking at it, what's going on here, what's going on in me. All right, I'm Tuulia of Honesty Europe, and let's see what I'm gonna talk next time. Ciao.